Still, we've got the travel news coming up for you at 2:30, and Matt coming your way at 3 o'clock here on BBC Radio Devon. Let's continue our discussion about social media and the risks of haters and why we've become so much more hateful in a way. All of us, I suppose, we're all vulnerable to that, aren't we? It's interesting. Rob mentioned Brexit. He said he thinks that's fueled people's divisions and anger. And I wonder what you think. 0808 100 1034. Let's talk to Yair Cohen, who's a social media lawyer and has been involved in helping people who've fallen foul of abuse over the internet since 1997. With the increased popularity of social media, his practice has become bigger and busier than ever. Yeah, let's set the scene for us with the actual laws that apply to social media. Because I think when I trained as a journalist, we learned all about libel and slander. And I think there's a perception that somehow saying things on social media don't count towards that. Am I right?
There is a perception, clearly there is one. But things are changing now. I think when the internet started, there was this idea that the internet is a completely different planet, as if we live in a dual society, as if there is the offline society, which is very heavily policed, and we have all the laws and regulations, people go to court and everything, and then we have the online society where everything is permitted. There is no law, there is no order. Things are changing now, though, yeah.
And people somehow thought they were safe doing that. Well, they're not, because you've prosecuted lots of people, haven't you? Under what laws can you prosecute people?
Well, you can take two. Generally speaking, there are two routes which people who become victims of online abuse can take. The first one is a civil route. If the comments posted are defamatory, so if they are untrue and they have been published to other people, then it is possible to go to court and sue someone for defamation. But
that you would in a newspaper.
Precisely. Now,
right.
The problem with the internet, of course, is that the comments stay online. And because they stay online, they're starting to become harassing to someone, as if somebody is standing outside your house day and night, and every time you walk out of your house, they're shouting abuse at you. This is how it feels. So it is there 24/7 every day, and because of this, the defamation becomes harassment. Now, harassment is both a civil wrongdoing and a criminal wrongdoing. So if someone feels that they are being harassed on the internet because people posting defamatory, untrue comments about them, they could possibly go to the police and ask the police to help under the law of harassment.
Right. Are there any high-profile cases that people might have heard of illustrate this?
There've been a couple of interesting cases. One that just finished a couple of weeks ago, and this is a case that started with a 75-year-old woman posting all sorts of untrue allegations against parents and the children at the school, alleging that they had been involved in all sorts of satanic rituals. Those statements had been picked up by conspiracy theorists in America, became viral, and from oh yeah, absolutely devastated the lives of the people involved. Children had to change the names, or parents had to change the name of the children. They had horrifying, and she ended up receiving 9 years in jail, effectively for continually posting untrue allegations about other people. So from something that started as defamation, where the police said, well, this is defamation of character, it's nothing we can do, there's nothing we can do about it, it turned into the highest profile case of harassment in history, online and offline. The other case that we might all remember is Monroe and Hopkins, where journalist Katie Hopkins sent only 2 tweets, very short tweets, making false allegations against an individual. and she was taken to court in order to pay damages and very hefty legal costs. So there could be serious consequences for people who post untrue allegations against other people. And I think people who are the victims, they shouldn't just sit there and pretend that the police sometimes will say, well, just go off social media or don't use the internet.
Right,
But
yes.
it doesn't make it any better. It doesn't make it go away because you might have children who will go on social media and they will read those horrible things that people are saying about you.
Yeah, it's true. It's interesting for me. I wonder if because actually you could get caught up in this by very innocently sharing or retweeting something, couldn't you? And actually be quite innocent. In my mind, there's a difference to that, and hopefully the courts would see that as well. You can tell me between that and someone who is giving a targeted campaign of harassment and abuse and nastiness.
That's correct. There are two elements to this. First is where someone is posting something which is untrue. It might be the case that they honestly believe that what they're saying is true. And if they honestly believe that and they have reasonable grounds for believing that, then it's okay. So if I posted as a lawyer something which turned out to be untrue, but you followed my Twitter account and retweeted my tweet, you cannot really be prosecuted for retweeting defamation because you had reasons to believe that my comments were balanced or were truthful. So the intention of the person tweeting or retweeting or posting or reposting are quite relevant to the outcome.
It's interesting. And obviously prison is an option. Big fines as well.
Prison is an option. We recently prosecuted a web designer who decided to harass a client who hadn't paid his fee, so he created a number of websites about him, and he ended up with a prison sentence. There's the case we just discussed of a 75-year-old woman going to jail for 9 years. This is becoming a very, very serious issue for people who are involved.
Yeah, thank you. It's been really interesting talking about that. That's Yair Cohen, who's a social media lawyer. The penalties aren't there.
Thank you so much for that, yeah. We really appreciate your time.